Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. It's great to have you on board. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in today. And looking at the futures here, you can see they're off about 6 points off their highs. When I first got up watching the futures this morning, they were flat. The Dow was flat. The S&P was flat. Okay, then now Janet Yellen, right? She's the one that where she's going to be yelling at us, right? I think you've ever heard that one before. She highlighted a report. It's called the JOLTS report. And it's due out this morning at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And the JOLTS report is the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. It's out here in about 40 minutes or so. And she highlighted this as an important supplement to the traditional labor market indicators. And you can see what this is. Again, it's due out in about a half an hour. There's more talk of tapering here in December. And it's got the market spooked a little bit. It's off the lows, but you can see how it just suddenly sold off. All right. Uh, Utah this morning, we are in single digits. Vegas. I know last night it was 202. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but it's pretty cold here in Utah. So the futures are down a little bit as far as our positions go. We got Tesla. It's down about just under $2 right now. And then Microsoft is down about 15 cents. Okay, both of those are off the lows. Yeah, down about 15 cents or so like that this morning. So they're down just slightly. Okay, Tesla's a high dollar stock, so a couple bucks isn't that big a deal. We're going to watch them throughout the morning. If they do start to worry us, we'll exit the trades and just move on. Okay, yeah, it's pretty cold here. So some good news for you. I know all the GM fans out there. Well, GM no longer stands for Government Motors. Clap your hands. The Department of Treasury confirmed that they sold all the shares. So there's no longer Government Motors out there. It's General Motors. And then they also named their first female CEO, a gal by the name of Mary Barra, is stepping in as a CEO. So that's up with GM. Couple earnings this morning. Not a lot of earnings this time of year, right? It'll start to pick up a little bit as we get towards the holidays, but not much. Toll Brothers, they topped by 13 cents, and the revenues came in at just over $1 billion versus an estimate of 981 million. So that's good news along the home builders, and the home builders were showing some strength yesterday. Well, Toll Brothers just came in, one of the bigger names out there, with a nice beat on the earnings front. Okay, Apple had some commentary. I put this in the chat a little while ago. There was some commentary out of Bank of America. So I go over here to the Street Insider and I'll show you where I found this morning. Right here. And Bank of America, you can see their comments. They said that we continue to believe heightened expectations of significant incremental iPhone units from China Mobile are unwarranted, as expectations are simply too high. All right, he says it's a clear positive, but we can believe that the incremental units should be less than 10 million. All right, so that's a little bit of news out on Apple, and but guess what? He also raised the price target from 530 to 600, okay, but they maintained a neutral rating on it. So a little bit of news out on Apple this morning. I still think the stock's going to be strong. It just might take a little while to get back up there, but we'll look at the technicals here on Apple and see what you think. One of the reports, anytime the market has a little bit of a pullback, right? Today it's down a little bit. Anytime the market has a little bit of a pullback, there's reports out there that there's I'll show you this, a dangerous triple top pattern. They're saying that to get your attention, right? It's a headline grabbing technique, and they want to get you out to read. And yeah, you could say that this could be a triple top. You could say that it could be a head and shoulders pattern, whatever you want. It's got a ways to confirm, it would be right down here around the 1780 mark. Triple top, head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. It would have a long ways to go to even confirm that type of a pattern, but a little bit of weakness comes in the market. You always see these articles. Is this it? Is it about to roll over? Is 2014 the year of the big fall in the market? And we saw the same things last year. Okay. The crashes like we saw, 98, they don't come along very often, and now people are getting a little bit worried about that. Anytime you think that there might be some pullback in the market, people start thinking, oh, is this the next crash? Is this it? And not likely. I mean, we saw, how many crashes have we seen like that since the 1920s, right? We saw the one in the 20s, carried on a long time. Then we saw one in back in 2008. So there's been one. There's been two in the lifespan of the U.S. stock market. So they're not going to come along too often. Yeah, someday eventually we'll probably have another one, but the odds of that here and now aren't there. Sure, anything's possible, but the odds are not saying that at all. So let's go look at Tesla. It's not trading yet here at stock charts. There we go. Gap down about $1.60. It's off the lows of the morning. Overall, there's nothing here technically to speak of. It's just right there at the 7. Push higher here at the day would just do wonders for our trade. Okay, and then Microsoft. Again, this is off the lows of the morning. It's down 12 cents. At one point, it was down over 20 cents in the pre-market. They were both up slightly before the market started to sell this morning. This slight pullbacks is nothing technically. There's nothing here to react to whatsoever. CHL, right? China Mobile. They're down this morning. They got downgraded to an underweight from an overweight at Barclays. And this could be one of those things where, is this already priced in? Is the move already priced in with the iPhone deal and Apple down here, down just $3? Technically not a big deal for Apple. It's more of a big deal for CHL to see it down like it is this morning. And Apple's still at an interesting point. If you can start, this thing starts pushing up through the 570 mark. So if it bounces here up off that, this 7-day moving average, if you see something like this come in to where you, oops, wrong button, to where you got a candle pushing up off the 7 like that, breaking up through that 570 mark, then this thing's probably off and running towards the $600 level. But right now, it's just consolidating right here, and really it's pretty bullish consolidating, not dropping below 560 or the 7, still hanging in there. We got a long ways to go in this day, so no early strong indications on Apple either way. General Motors this morning down just slightly. It's way above the 7 here. It's had some strong volumes push in here. It's really been outperforming my favorite here, of course, which is Ford. Ford's been really weak compared to General Motors. All right, now yesterday I didn't have a top 3, right? I spent the time putting together some other trades. I didn't want to rashly put something together for you. One that was one of the runner-ups was CME. The CME group. It's down just slightly this morning. And push here, another push here up off that 7 would be a beautiful bullish signal for this if it can get it. It's down just slightly, just kind of pulling back like everything else. Another one that we looked at yesterday on the runner-ups here is Baidu. Good looking signal. The options were just a little bit overpriced, but it doesn't mean if you're in it you can't make money. Okay, just a little bit overpriced for what we want to do here. But still up, and that's just pretty good. You look at the market here. Market's down about 2. It's off its lows. Again, it's really early, but so far these little pullbacks like that are bought up. Let me go run over here. So the market's down just under 3, 2, and so I'm here down just 3. All right, so almost the same between the market and the futures right now, just a slight difference here. Baidu, going to 200. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. It's got a nice looking chart. Like most things, it's not going to go straight there. It's going to have its ups and downs along the way, but I wouldn't doubt that at all. All right. Vegas, your USO, yeah, another nice gap higher today. And oil is up today as well. So a nice push here. So what did it do? It jumped up, had a little bit of consolidation along here. And this is one of those trades that, when it takes off like this, and we've looked at this in the past here with USO. Whoa, sorry about that. But on these giant days like that, I hesitate to jump in on those big days like that. It's a big day. It's probably going to go higher, but could it consolidate a little bit? Sure. There's a good chance it can, but it kept going. I know a lot of you got in the trade, and then you notice it jumped up towards the 35.5 area and just went sideways. Now the 7 didn't quite catch up with it, and then you get another gap higher. So stayed out of the trade on this one, but that's if you play these initial runs like that, expect them to go higher. That's what can happen. You can get in and they just stay away from the 7, and if you're waiting for the little bit of a pullback and consolidation back to it, you can miss the trade, and that's what's happened here. If you're still in the trade, man, I'd stay in. If I bring in the Bollinger Bands, it's still in that upper Bollinger Band. It closed inside yesterday, but still in it this morning, jumping, gapping higher. That's a nice run. So remember, I was talking about Toll Brothers. They got a nice earnings report, nice earnings beat by 13 cents. Revs were slightly higher as well. It gapped higher here this morning. It might weigh a little bit on the Lennars. We were looking at some of these yesterday as my runner-ups for the top 3 since I didn't have a top 3. This and KB Homes, they're all up today. So that's some pretty strong signals there. Okay, as far as Microsoft goes, just still no real indication. It's off the lows of the day. And then Tesla down just 71 cents now. So, they're both looking good. But we're just starting this day. Some of the stocks we've been talking in here recently, right? We looked at CSX. This is a top 3 of mine from last Thursday. And this pre-market, it was up a little bit. It's just a little consolidation right there. It's still in that upper 7. Nothing here to worry about technically at this point. These little pullbacks, nothing. It's just 8 cents down. So if I was still, I wouldn't be worried about that. I know also Harley was another one of mine. It's just flat right now. Still remaining up that way. If it goes like this for a couple days, just kind of flat around 69 and lets that 7 catch up with it, would be bullish consolidation and likely to go higher. So nothing there to worry about. Procter and Gamble down slightly this morning, so it broke up through that 84 level. It's coming back to retest it. It looks like you want that 84 level to hold, and if it can hold the 7-day moving average as well, but I'd watch the 84 level to hold today. If it breaks back down below it, doesn't mean that the uptrend's over. It just means it's not ready to go higher right off the bat. Okay, and then we also talked about Yahoo. And right now, early on like this is a good sign. It's pushing up here off of 39. That's a very positive sign for Yahoo. If I was here, just stay in it and ride it along higher. Move the stop a little bit higher. Now Yahoo went on to my top 3 right on this day here. This big nice breakout right there. So if you happen to get in that day, it's still rolling along that upper band. It's just down below it, but no signs here of any weakness coming into it at all right now. So just stay in the trade and watch it, and maybe move your stop a little bit higher along the way. You could always use a 7, or me, if you take a profit anywhere along the way, good job. Micron. Yeah, there was some news out on Micron yesterday. It escapes my mind at the moment. They bought somebody, or thinking of buying something. I'm sorry, it's escaping my mind right now. But yeah, I mean, this is still a nice looking pattern here. gap higher and it's holding it higher. After a gap like that, you can always expect a little bit of profit taking to kick in. And we had some huge volumes yesterday on that gap. I don't see any signs of weakness here. It still looks strong. Twitter, yeah, it's been in the news. Well, the stock price has been in the move, how it's moving up like this. I'm not going to trade this for a while. You can see the Bollinger Band's just coming in here. And you got a 7-day moving average. It's been here for a few weeks now. and I'm going to give this a little bit more time. This would be one of those trades. This thing could go to 70, 80, 100, and who knows? It's just too new to call. If the institutions are starting to buy in, I'm sure they are. Institutions bringing some money into this area. Yeah, I can keep going, but I remember it wasn't that long ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, when not Microsoft, but Bank of got to get my head together here, when Visa and MasterCard went public. And geez, you'd think those would have been institutions in the market for a generation or so, but they just went public about, don't quote me exactly, 7 or 8 years ago, somewhere around that point. But yeah, I had a buddy of mine that was trading MasterCard and just scored big time as that thing just kept going higher and higher and higher. You don't see those giant old timers go public like that too often, but there was a few of them that did just prior to the financial crisis. BlackRock, you also had Bank of America and Visa just prior to that the big collapse. Okay, Nucor, one of my top threes from a while ago, still running. This was a top three from last Wednesday, so almost a week ago. This is still running. If you're in on this, good job. It's getting a little bit of ways from the 7 here. Coming up 53 could be a little bit of resistance, but overall still a very bullish pattern here. The volumes are slipping off a little bit in this range, but watch it today and see what it does. But early on like this, the action's still very positive. I also had Walgreens from about a week ago, and this was a trend rider bear signal in the top three, and it went on the list right here. And it's just gone down and then come back, and it just keeps selling off around the 7. Watch this level though. I mean, I remember when it got in the trade, I was suggesting 56 as a price target. You can see where I picked that level up, and the reason you notice the volumes up around this level. So at that point, some pretty decent resistance on some pretty big volume. So that's why I thought it might be a little bit of support here. But this price action suggesting it might break further. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting out in here and taking the gain. I know that some of you got out right there and got a nice gain. You're still in it. It's still bearish, but it still might push lower. Now, one of the stocks that I was dying to get into and didn't catch that initial break was this one, and it's still running down towards the $70 level. I'd watch the $70 level. If you look at this, you notice how big these volumes are, and you notice it's not quite coming to 70. It might, there's a little bit of a descending wedge here. It might break through 70. If it does, it's probably headed down here. Yeah, there's a little bit, probably towards the 68 level or further. It could drop, but it's pretty weak coming down here. But you notice it keeps stair stepping down, but the volumes remain really high around 70. If that level breaks, then again, it's probably going to drop quite a ways. But this little bit of consolidation, if it consolidates a little bit more, it comes back to that 7, and a break of 70 would be a lot better setup to jump in. Tesoro, it's showing some topping signals here. A little bit, nothing major. I'd be a little bit cautious. The RSI is rolling over slightly here, but the bands are contracting, so just showing some consolidation. The area I'd watch would be that $56 level. If it breaks 56, I'd get bearish on it. But right now it's holding the level. If it bounces up off 56 through that 58, would be a pretty good sign. But right now it's just kind of in no man's land. I wouldn't make a trade here. If I was in bullish, if it closed below 7, I'd get out. And I think it's too early to go bearish yet. Yeah, thanks for bringing up Oracle. Oracle, top three from last Friday. And this is so a little bit of, let's zoom in here. Past resistance right there, and today's action we're retesting that level. But if this breaks a 7, then get out. Right? Pretty simple. If it breaks down below that 7 today, exit the trade. We've had a nice uptrend intact. Nice uptrend intact. There's not really any warning signs of a big weakness coming from anything up here and on the indicators. So far, it's doing another one of these little deals. Okay, on its way higher, right? Trends in motion are a little more likely to continue than they are to reverse. Okay, so we got an uptrend intact, and I know a lot of times people think that they jumped in the trade, so the trend's going to reverse. It's not always the case. It usually it can scare you on a day like this where you get a big strong pullback. Well, it looks like a big strong pullback. It's 33 cents, about 1% in the stock. But overall, no real bearish signs here. But if it broke the 7, then exit, jump out, wait, and then look for the next trade. Slawek, you do what I do. Type them in the chat. We might have to take your keyboard away from you. Yeah, gold's jumping higher this morning. A lot of commodities are moving pretty big today. Nice move. Something that, could you have anticipated this? Well, sure. Hindsight, we could have easily. But no, you couldn't have seen that coming. But it was setting a little bit of a bottom. I know Jeff and I were talking about this yesterday. It was bottoming right here, but you couldn't have guessed that. Gold core, same thing. Up about, well, it's up 3.5%. Nice jump here, but one of those hindsight crystal ball types we could have had. Let me go back here. Okay, let's just run over the positions one more time. At Microsoft, just flat still, down 2 cents, well off the lows of this morning. And then Tesla, turning positive. It's up about 50 cents as we speak, 48 cents to be exact. And early on, nothing really to react to. They're looking good so far. We're going to let these run. If you have any questions, I'll be on chat with you all day. PG, let's look at PG. Procter & Gamble just down off the lows, and just watch this throughout the day. Early on, if it breaks the 7, then get out. Right now, it's too early to call. I think the $84 level would hold here, but let's let this day play out. There's nothing to react to bearishly or bullishly. If you're in the trade, just let it keep running. Let this day work for you. Okay. The dollar down slightly here, 5 cents. The lows down there, this is a pretty decent level of support. About this point, it broke through it there in late October. It might go back into that range. Technically, yeah, it's in the lower Bollinger Band. It could keep going, but all right. Yeah, look at Goldman Sachs. Nice break up here. Now this right here, if I bring in the vibe, you're welcome, Trade Hound. So looking at Goldman Sachs here, I've been watching for a move like this, and there it is. It's happening pretty fast and furious. But look at our indicators here, and you can't see that MACD. It's off your screen. But you notice everything's rising here. A fresh push here up off the 7. It's a big, strong move. Now this is early on in the morning. This might all change by this afternoon, but saw this going into the close tonight would be a very nice bullish signal. All right, you can see the MACD as well, and bring that up for you. Also increasing. That would be a beautiful bull vibe signal like that. But it's got to close that way. I mean, we've seen it up here before, a week and a half ago or something like this, trying to break up through the area. So right now, that's what it's doing. It looks like it's going to break, but it's got to hold that throughout the day. What'd be nice is to see this thing pull back a little bit today and then push back up like that into the close. Likely some bullish follow through tomorrow. Okay, everybody. I'll be on chat with you all day. If you have any questions or comments, reach me there. Jeff will be here as well. You can reach us through email. That's Carl at traderminute.com, and that Carl spelled with a C. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye bye.